Most often, when folks hear the term community garden, they think of a few folks growing some veggies on little patches of land and not much else. The reality is that community gardens are so much more, and that's why the title of this episode is Community plus Gardens. Because when you combine true community with the power of Mother Nature, magical things happen, and the whole is vastly greater than the sum of the parts. In this video, we're going to unpack the deeper relationship between community and gardens and look at the impact these places can have on food security for individuals, neighborhoods, and beyond. We'll also meet two ladies who'll share their insights into the real power of community plus gardens. The goal is, by the end of this video, you're going to be inspired to join your local community garden, or maybe you'll even be dreaming of ways to start a new one. Are you ready? Let's do this. Humans were designed to live in community. There's a passage in The Art of Rulership that states, "For one man, it is impossible to move the huge boulder, but for 100 men, it is no effort at all." As that quote clearly points out, community is important for getting things done, but community also feeds our need for connection. Positive interactions and support from our community enriches our lives in many ways, and community gardens are a wonderful place for folks to create new, healthy connections. In episode 1, I talked about our experiment of growing food along the fence at the edge of our parking lot, and how we grew not only food, we grew community. And that makes sense. Growing food together is how the concept of community began for humans. Leah is the head gardener at the Legacy Garden in Charlottetown, and I spoke to her about the importance of community gardens.
Community gardens in general are so important for a community. It's where people can gather. It's where they can be with their neighbors in a different context rather than like on a city street. And it's where they can learn new skills. It's where we can share information, and it's where even I've seen like there's not many places where you see older people with preschoolers. There's not a lot of gathering places for that, and the garden provides that space for them.
A place for folks to gather, connect, learn, and share. Indeed, those are some very sweet side benefits that can come from joining your local community garden. Are you getting inspired yet? When I asked Leah to describe something that she really enjoyed at the gardens, once again, it came back to learning and connections. I'll let her explain.
Something I love is, like I said, like we have so many community plots. I love to see all the different people who have chosen to have a garden here and have chosen to what food they're growing and what they eat. It's so interesting, and it's such a cool way to get to know people I would never meet before by just coming up to them while they're pulling weeds or harvesting and just like, hey, like, what are you going to do with that? And yeah, it's such a great way to meet people.
For the record, I live just a couple of blocks from the Legacy Garden, and I can absolutely confirm that Leah is as friendly in real life as she appears on the screen. She is absolutely fabulous. Indeed, she and the other folks at Legacy do so much more than just run the garden plots. There's education, outreach, activities, incredible orchards, so much more. We are very fortunate to have wonderful folks like Leah creating spaces where we can all grow. clearly, the community side of the equation is awesome. Now, we're going to take a look at the garden side of the equation, and we're going to break it down into its two component parts, the gardeners and the land itself. Jean is the plot manager at the Legacy Garden, and with over 150 plots, if anybody knows what gardeners are like, it's her. So I asked Jean to describe what kind of folks she meets at the garden.
With the gardeners, they're so interested in Mother Earth. They're so responsible, and they spend so much time making their garden grow and enjoying every bit of it.
Thoroughly engaged, connected to Mother Earth, and really enjoying life. These gardeners sound pretty cool. I asked Jean to tell me just a little bit more about these gardeners.
Gardeners are just special people. There's a lot of special people in the world, I know, but they're very conscious about our climate and the well-being of others, and on and on. And their families are involved too. They're just, it's so nice to see.
It's pretty clear from listening to Jean that gardening attracts a special kind of person, and that there's a deep connection between the gardeners and the land that involves respect, dedication, and love. Now, let's look at the land itself and the role it plays in our equation. Jean's not only the plot manager at the Legacy Garden, she's also one of the original volunteers, so I was able to ask her what the land was like when they first started and what it's like now, in the hopes that I might better understand the role the land itself plays in the magic that is community gardens.
The first time I saw this bit of land, it was just flat and nothing but mint. 8.5 acres of mint. I said yay, they said no. This is not the kind of mint that you think it is. It's invasive, and you can't do anything with it, and so on.
Just to give you a little bit of visual reference, here's a picture of the field that Jean is talking about before it became the Legacy Garden. Now, let's listen to how Jean describes the Legacy Garden today, 7 years later.
I love her. Oh. Legacy is a her.
Oh, that is beautiful.
And she is so nurturing, and she'll do everything she can for you to be successful in your garden and in experience. I think it was 3 years ago when we had that sudden hailstorm for 5 minutes, and it devastated the whole garden. Everything was laying flat. It was just horrid. When we came back on Monday morning, everything was on its feet again. And that's her. Yeah.
That is wonderful. She kind of reminds me of you. Thank you so much for telling me your story, and thank you for being you.
Oh, thank you.
Jean just confirmed what I've long suspected, that there's a connection between the gardeners and the land, and when the gardeners bring love, the land gives life. So, in closing, let's look at our equation again. On the one side, we've got community, gathering, connecting, sharing, learning. And on the other side, gardens, with gardeners and land, love and life. So community gardens are places where you can gather, connect, share, and learn about both life and love. And that, my friends, is pretty darn magical. And I haven't even mentioned all the fabulous food you're going to grow. So, are you feeling even just a little bit inspired? Excellent. If so, let this video be your call to action. Seriously, we need community gardens literally in every neighborhood, and we need them right now. If you've got a local community garden, join up and find a way to support it. If there is no community garden, start one. It can be as simple as food growing on a fence at the edge of a parking lot. Because something is better than nothing. And even if your veggies are kind of lame at first, the community benefits will offset that. And over time, Mother Nature will kick in to support your efforts. And before you know it, you will have improved your food security and you've made the world a better place. So that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to me wax poetic about community gardens and for tolerating my weird mathematical way of seeing the world. A huge thanks to all the awesome folks who helped make this video possible, including but not limited to Food Exchange PEI, sponsor of this project, Leah and Jean, our awesome community garden ladies, Gary for helping with my audio, all the folks who submitted photos and info, and last but not least, the amazing, groovy, awesome folks who patiently help with editing by watching the videos and letting me know what I can do better. Y'all know who you are. All in all, these videos are a true community effort. You know, as you think about it, there just might be something to this whole community thing. Anyways, be sure to check out the other episodes. And in the interim, take care of one another. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.